You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome.
There's something in the air, the dream of life in love, with minds that rest in prayer, sparking joy we're in awe. No matter where your path has been or time has somehow flies, like souls will come home again, true friendship ever thrives. Is this where the magic happens? Can you feel the hearts revealed right now in you and me? The secret is wherever we are. There's something in a smile that can turn a day around. Moments so worthwhile when we find common ground. No matter what the day might bring, right here we can align, knowing that we will be seen as perfect, whole, divine. 'Cause this is where the magic happens. Let's feel all the hearts, close to me and me to you. The secret is wherever we are. So meet me where the magic happens, feeling all the hearts ignited now in you and me. The secret is wherever. The secret is whenever. The secret is together we are.
Good morning. Welcome to CSL St. George, Utah. Little chilly this morning. It's been chilly for a while, but the sun's shining and it's always gorgeous. So we're so glad you joined us today for our service. We have a guest speaker, so I'll tell you a little bit about him in a little bit. So welcome. We are an open, loving, and inclusive community that supports thinking creatively and living a deeply spiritual life. Our vision is a world that works for everyone. So our service team today, we have Marina behind the scenes doing all her magic, making this happen. My name is Gwen Hadley. I'll be hosting today. Our own Shay Barlow, our wonderful acclaimed musician, will provide the music for us. Chris McCardle, one of our practitioners, will provide the invocation. Another practitioner, Mary Klein, will be doing the reading. And then we have Reverend Patrick Harbula that's going to give us our message today.
Good morning, Gwen.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you? So good. It is chilly, but as you said, blue skies, and that's one of my faves, so it's going to be beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and just take this into that centering place. This is called Living Prayer, just a reminder of who we are, and we're just going to connect with that inner source right now. I sing it through one time, Chris is going to pop in and he will share an invocation. And then the second time through, the lyrics will be on screen and you can sing along. I am truth, I am harmony. I am illuminated. I am love, I am energy. I am a living prayer. You are truth, you are harmony. You are illuminated. You are love, you are energy. You are a living prayer. We are truth, we are harmony. We are illuminated. We are love, we are energy. We are a living prayer.
As we open service this morning, I open it with the words, we are a living prayer. And I recognize this in that oneness that is everything. The divine energy, universe, the flow of life itself. That which is in everything. And as I know this to be true, I know that it is here, it is present for our morning service. And I bless that, and I bless each and everyone here, knowing that the proper words will be spoken, the information, the love, the gratitude, the secrets to the manifestation, and the way internal peace is always present. I tap into that right now as we begin to open this Sunday service. And in that, I just simply release it with gratitude, knowing that it is so. And I say that by affirming, and so it is.
So it is. Amen. So these words will pop on screen. I'd just like you to affirm them and unite with them, with us, with these words. I am truth, I am harmony. I am illuminated. I am love, I am energy. I am a living prayer. You are truth, you are harmony. You are illuminated. You are love, you are energy. You are a living prayer. We are truth, we are harmony. We are illuminate. We are love, we are energy. We are a living prayer. We are a living prayer. And now I'd like to invite Mary Klein into the service to share our sacred reading. Good morning, Mary.
Hi, good morning. I have selected 2 readings from the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. The kinship of gratitude. The goal of all experience is to remove whatever might keep us from being whole. The things we learn through love and pain reduce our walls and bring our inner and outer life together. And all the while, the friction of being alive erodes whatever impediments remain. But the simplest and deepest way to make who we are at one with the world is through the kinship of gratitude. Nothing brings the world of spirit and earth together more quickly. To be grateful means giving thanks for more than just things that we want, but also for the things that surmount our pride and stubbornness. Sometimes the things I wanted and worked for, if I actually received them, would have crushed me. Sometimes just giving thanks for the mystery of it all brings everything and everyone closer. The way suction pulls streams of water together. So take a chance and openly give thanks, even if you're not sure what for, and feel the plenitude of all that is living brush up against your heart. My second reading is called The Gift of Prayer. And I'm going to read a short little 4 lines from Gandhi. Prayer is not asking. It is a longing of the soul in its daily admission of one's weakness. And so, it is better in prayer to have a heart without words than words without a heart, by Gandhi. This great spiritual teacher reminds us that prayer of the deepest kind is more a pledge of gratitude for what has already been received than a request or plea for something not yet experienced. Such an effort refreshes our soul. Implicit in Gandhi's instruction is the need to surrender to our lives here on earth. By admitting our weaknesses, we lay down all the masks we show the world, and as we do so, what is holy floods in. I once saw a blind man rocking endlessly in the sun, an unstoppable smile on his face. Not a word was uttered. To me, he was a priest, a shaman, and his whole being was praying and shouting in silence that the day, beyond his blindness, was happily enough. This is what the heart knows beyond all words, if we can find a way to listen, that beyond our small sense of things, a magnificent light surrounds us, more than anyone could ask for. This is what prayer as gratitude can open us up for us. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Mary. So this year's theme, this new year, 2023, is Living Out Loud. January, we are rooting and rebooting. We are singing with gratitude this week, and the talk title is Non-Attachment, the Secret to Manifestation and Lasting Peace. So rooting and rebooting, I wondered also, you might, what that means. And in this month's Science of Mind magazine, Carol Carnes offers this. She writes, the fundamental truth found in our teaching lies dormant until someone finds its roots and brings forth its fruit in languages that suit the times. She goes on to say, the roots of Science of Mind are ours to reboot in our awareness, reclaim as our truth, and reorder as our constant perception. And one of those truths is, of course, gratitude. Rhonda Byrne says this about gratitude: never let a day pass without looking for the good, feeling the good within you, praising, appreciating, blessing, and being grateful. Make it your life commitment, and you will stand in utter awe of what happens in your life. This is a song by Lisa and Erica called Grateful. Because the ground holds up my feet, because the stars shine down on me, for all of this and so much more, I am grateful, because there's air for me to breathe. I give my thanks to every tree for all of this and so much more. I am grateful, 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 I'm grateful, because I felt right from the start the steady beat of my faithful heart, for all of this and so much more. I am grateful, because I think, because I feel, because there's mystery to reveal, for all of this and so much more. I am grateful, 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 I'm grateful. One more time, grateful, 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 I'm grateful.
Thank
Okay.
you, Cheryl. Beautiful.
Thank you, Gwen.
As I always say, I sing my little heart out when you play, and I am grateful no one can hear me but Kelly and the dog. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So as I said in the beginning, we have a special guest speaker, Reverend Dr. Patrick Harbula is his name. And I want to just briefly read his bio because I couldn't do him justice without. So Dr. Patrick has been a leader and teacher in the human potential movement, meditation trainer, and life coach for over 30 years. He has presented at hundreds of New Thought centers around the country and internationally. He is the author of the acclaimed book, The Magic of the Soul, Applying Spiritual Power to Daily Living and Meditation. The simple and practical way Patrick continues to reach hundreds of thousands with his empowering message of living one's passion through applying life purpose. He is the founder and Living Purpose Institute, founder of the Living Purpose Institute, which is a teaching organization dedicated to promoting individual and collective success through the power of life purpose. Welcome, Dr. Reverend Patrick. We're so glad you're joining us today.
Thank you so much. So excited to be here. I'm going to adjust this so you can see both books behind me. So yeah, I'm so excited to be here, and I love the group that puts this on. We just met this morning, and I get the feeling that this group is all about having fun. Yes.
Well, you got us. You're right on.
So, and there's a connection between the title of my talk, Non-Attachment, the ultimate secret to manifestation and inner peace, and having fun. So I'm going to start off with a little joke, and usually I'm standing on stage telling this joke, but I'll see if I can still do the body language on it. So there's these three guys out for a wonderful day of golf on a Sunday afternoon, and so the first guy steps up to the tee, and you've probably heard of this guy. His name is Moses. Moses steps up to the tee, and he's looks really serious. He's really been focusing on his golf game. And so he takes a couple very, very careful practice swings, finally hits the ball, lets it fly. It's heading out for the green over the fairway, but it bounces before the trap, which is this big lake. So Moses steps out, he raises up his club, and the waters part. The ball rolls through between the waters onto the green about 20 feet from the cup. Next guy steps up to the tee. Probably heard of him as well. His name is Jesus. Jesus has also been been really practicing, getting good at golf. Steps up to the tee, takes a couple of very focused, very measured practice swings. Finally lets it go. It's flying out there. It's going beyond Moses's ball, but it's going to land in the lake. So Jesus steps out, raises up his hand. The ball stops in midair. It hovers about 6 inches from the surface of the water, and he just calmly walks out on the water, taps the ball under the green, lands about 10 feet from the cup. So the next guy comes out, and he's kind of the opposite of the first two. He's like laughing and joking and having fun. He doesn't seem to be taking it seriously at all. He just takes a wild one-handed swing at the ball. It goes flying off. It bounces off the roof of this caddy shack onto the freeway. It's ricocheting between cars. It finally hits this big truck that sends it back over the fence onto the roof of the caddy shack, rolls down the roof into the rain gutter, down the rain gutter to the drain pipe, down the drain pipe onto the fairway. It's rolling toward that same lake. It hits a rock, it bounces off, lands on a lily pad in the lake. Just then a frog comes up, snatches the ball in its mouth, and then an eagle swoops down and grabs the frog. They're flying over the green. The frog screams out of fright. The ball drops out of the frog's mouth straight down into the cup. Moses turns to Jesus and says, "God, I hate playing with your dad." Waiting for the laugh. So the moral of the story is, when we show up with joy, with freedom, with fun, with non-attachment, good things happen. We always get the best results when we are coming from an inner experience of freedom and joy. So we're going to talk about the connection between non-attachment, freedom and joy, and gratitude, since we had so much wonderful information from the reading, from the song. Beautiful, beautiful singing, by the way, by Shay. I hope I'm saying that right. And so non-attachment is not a new idea. There's a guy named Siddhartha Gautama a few centuries ago that talked about it. And what the Buddha said is that non-attachment is the philosophy of my life. I'll tell you a little story. I was teaching a class many years ago, and I was reading a book, by the way, at the time, by Pam Grout called E Squared. And one of the exercises, the first exercise in the book, was to expect a miracle, and to expect it to happen in the next 24 hours. Now you can do this. You can do this exercise without reading the book. And you in this particular exercise, you don't have a specific intention for it or a specific outcome. You just you're just expecting and affirming that some kind of miracle is going to happen, some kind of demonstration that will absolutely prove that your consciousness created this experience. So I was teaching this class, and it was done on a donation basis. And each night, I think this was the second or third class in the series. I think it was the third class. And so the first couple classes, we received about $200 in donations. And there were, I think about 15 people in the class. So you can do the math, average per person. But on this occasion, this was within 24 hours of when I did this experiment, teaching the same class, and there was over $2,000 in the basket on that night. And I was absolutely certain it was a result of that intention of doing that experiment. Now, here's the kicker, though, is if I had done this experiment 15 years earlier, 20 years ago, probably, the class was about 5 years ago, I know I wouldn't have gotten the same results, because I would have done the experiment, and then I would have had some level of attachment to it happening, right? But because I've been practicing for many years, non-attachment, I was open to whatever happened. And so I absolutely know that demonstration wouldn't have occurred if I had had that attachment. Here's a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh. Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in our heart we still cling to anything, anger, anxiety, possessions, situations, we cannot be free. So I ask you to ponder on this. What is a more productive consciousness for manifestation, anxiety or freedom? The answer is obvious. In fact, our degree of non-attachment is proportionate to our natural ability to focus consistently on what I want, our intention to manifest what we want. So here's how it works. Because if I have attachment, a couple things happen. One thing is, if I have attachment to, making more money, attachment to finding my soulmate, attachment to, and when there's attachment, there's worry accompanying it, right? So one thing that's happening is I'm actually putting negative energy into all these things that I have attachments toward, right? And the other thing that happens is, if you can imagine that there's a person with a line of energy going to each one of these worries or attachments, then what's happening is my power is being drained into all of these situations. When I'm non-attached, then my energy is solid. So what that means is, the more non-attached I am, the more peace I have in my heart. The more peace in my heart that I have, the more power I have to manifest what I want. So, and this can be kind of tricky too. In my book, The Magic of the Soul, I say that the most powerful consciousness for manifestation is, number one, being really clear about what I want, being really clear about my intention, affirming it, speaking it, doing spiritual mind treatment, all of our practices, right, for intentionality. And on the other side of that coin is being non-attached to how, when, or if it occurs. Because if I have attachment, then I'm going to have some level of fear that what I want to happen doesn't happen, or what I don't want to happen will happen. And so again, that fear is then putting a stick in the spoke of the wheel that wants to manifest what I want to manifest. So, and it can be very seductive too in our teaching, right? Because, as practitioners, when someone comes to us and says, I want to manifest a new car, we can be treating for that experience, but what we're really treating for is the inner experience, right? How will one feel when that car has been manifest? More prosperous, more freedom. That's what I feel we're really treating for, not for the physical outcome. Because when we have the consciousness for what we want, then the outcome is guaranteed. Once we have the consciousness, then what happens in the world of form just happens. I'll give you a quote from a favorite book of mine called Busting Loose from the Money Game by Robert Scheinfeld. And I absolutely love this quote. He says that when we reach the consciousness, when we arrive at the consciousness where we realize it's no better to have $1 million than it is to owe $1 million, then we'll have the consciousness that can create whatever we want with a snap of our fingers. That's pretty radical, right? No difference between having $1 million or owing $1 million. And I love that it is radical, right? Because it causes me to stretch. If I were to go from having $1 million to owing $1 million overnight, it might take me a minute to come to peace with that, right? But I know that I would as a result of my practice. So here's how Scheinfeld explains this. And this isn't a new idea, but I love this phrasing, is that if we're saying that one situation in the world of form is better than another situation in the world of form, what I'm saying is that the world of form has power over my inner experience, which then makes me relatively powerless. But if I'm saying that the only thing that's important is, can I feel prosperity in my heart right now? Can I feel joyful? Can I feel ecstasy? In fact, let's practice this, because you might think this sounds all very, simple in theory, but how do I just, how do I continuously have these feelings inside? Close your eyes for a moment and just think about a really happy time, a joyful time. Or think about your child when they're young, or a grandchild, or a pet, that favorite puppy or a kitten, and cuddling with that pet or playing with your child or your grandchild instantly brings up joy, freedom. Does it matter how much money I have in the bank right now as I'm experiencing this? Absolutely not. So now I'm free. Okay, so you can open your eyes. So that's how simple it is to create an inner experience of freedom and joy. We just created it. We feel joyful right now. That's in one moment. Can I feel joyful in the next moment, in this next moment? And then do we just string together moments of joy, one after another? And the more consistently we can live from an inner experience of freedom and joy, the more the outer world just takes care of itself. So when I'm doing spiritual mind treatment, then what I'm saying is that, yes, it's powerful. And our teaching is really, really good, masterful about how to create intentionality. But there's not as much teaching about non-attachment, which is just as important, in my experience, even more important than the intentionality. The intentionality is the easy side of that formula, so to speak, because I can do affirmations and I can create that intentionality. I can be certain about it, and yet if I'm attached, again, I am taking the power out of my intentionality. And so one way to increase our ability to manifest whatever we want is to practice being non-attached to the result. Just let it go. It's the final step in spiritual mind treatment, just letting it go. First, we're in gratitude about it. and then we let it go. And coming back to the connection between non-attachment and gratitude is, if I'm attached to things happening in my life that aren't happening, if I'm attached to things not happening that I don't want to happen that are happening, then I'm not in gratitude, right? I'm going to be in frustration. The degree of attachment that I have is equal to the degree of frustration that I have in my life. And so letting it all go, just like that last step in spiritual mind treatment, turn it over to spirit, have the intention, let it go, no concern about when, how, or even if it occurs, because I'm going to live from joy right here and right now, then everything else takes care of itself. And we open the door, we open the window for spirit to come through and do the work. You know, I'm thinking about the Abraham Hicks teaching. There's an exercise in their book, I think it's Ask and It Is Given, that says, you know, every morning create a little list of things to do, but it's a different kind of list. One side, one column on one side of the paper, you put a list of the things that are mine to do. What am I actually going to take action on? On the other side of the list is, what will God do today? What is spirit going to do? What will the universe do? In other words, what can I hand over to the universe that is not mine to do, right? Feel the freedom in that, yes? I had a client once who was wanting to buy a home. This was back in 2007. And it was $1 million home, and it was a little bit outside of her budget. Around $800,000 would have been, comfortable for her. And so she came to me and she said, I'm practicing not being attached to getting that home. And she wanted to have the home to build her healing center, by the way. And so she said, I'm practicing being non-attached so I can get it, which isn't real non-attachment, right? And I had to laugh because I do that too in my practice as well, is, if I want to get something really badly, then I'll practice being non-attached so I can get it, right? So we laughed about that. Now, the interesting thing, caveat about this, is that she didn't get the home, right? And it turned out 2008, the real estate market crashed. If she had gotten that home, it would have put her in a financial bind. And as it turned out, she ended up renting a space to create her healing center, became super, super successful. I'm thinking of another story, because that's the thing. The universe, God, our soul, the intention that is beyond what we can see through our personal understanding is always greater, right? I had a friend who once, we were talking, and she said, this was many, many years ago. She said, my son was really wanting to get this important, lucrative contract for this company in New York. And, he's doing his affirmations and all of this positive stuff, and he didn't get it. And he was really, really sad about that. Fast forward a few months, 9/11 happened. If he would have gotten that job, he would have been at the top of the tower when that happened. So guess what? He was in gratitude that he didn't get it. So, we can't always see the bigger picture about what we want to happen, but we can trust that whatever does happen is absolutely the perfect thing. So that's another reason to practice being in non-attachment. But the most important result from non-attachment is not even our ability to manifest. It is having a consistent experience of inner peace. As the title suggests, the only way that I have found to inner peace is to be at least relatively non-attached. Being, 100% non-attached isn't ideal. And as human beings, we're probably not going to Maybe in moments we can, but for over the course of our life, we're not going to be in 100% non-attachment all the time. So it's just about practicing becoming more and more non-attached. The more non-attached I become, the more peace I have, and the more, and therefore the more ability I have to manifest. But the most important thing is being at peace, having peace, freedom, joy in our hearts on a consistent basis. That's what our teaching really comes down to. So don't be attached to being non-attached. That's what I'm trying to say in that. Love yourself exactly where you are, and being where you want to be will unfold naturally, easily, and effortlessly. I do, in my practice, I do a practice of measuring our consciousness. I call it consciousness coaching. And by the way, anyone who's watching this today, I will offer, I don't always do this streaming out to the world, but I will offer a complimentary coaching session with me. So all you got to do is reach out to me. You can just Google me and you'll find my website, or patrick@magicofthesoul.com is my email. And so here's the measurement I'll offer to you. At the end of the day, just write down a number, a percentage of time that you are in gratitude compared to dissatisfaction. The law of attraction comes down to the simplest common denominator for the law of attraction is this, is dissatisfaction repels everything that we want. Gratitude, which can't happen without non-attachment, attracts everything that we want. And so what percentage of the time on a daily basis are you in gratitude compared to dissatisfaction? And it can be very subtle, right? So, I was having some technical problems and a little bit late logging on to our pre-meeting today. And I could have been in dissatisfaction about that, or I can be in gratitude and trust that everything's going to work out, and gratitude for the opportunity to be sharing with you today. And by the way, I could be in dissatisfaction that my voice is kind of groggy today, or I can be in joy that I'm able to speak at all. There are people in this world. I have a client, in fact, who recently had a surgical procedure and lost her voice. She's got to get another operation to fix her voice, right? I'm able to communicate. The reason my voice is hoarse is last night I was facilitating a tribal ceremonial sweat lodge, and I was singing at the top of my lungs these tribal chants, and so I didn't think about today, but it's all good. It's all good all the time. So at the end of the day, look back over your day and say, what percent of the time today was I in gratitude compared to dissatisfaction? And the more gratitude, the more peace, the more we attract what we want. I wonder if you've seen the movie My Favorite Exotic Marigold Hotel. So in it, I'll give you a brief summary of the movie. So this it's set in India, and this young guy who inherited this mansion from his father, and he's now running it, managing it, is marketing this as a retirement home to people in England. And so he has this brochure that he sends out to people, and then people are really excited. Great place to retire. Go there. And they say, you airbrushed this brochure because the place was dilapidated, it's falling apart. And people would come to him with all these problems about what's breaking down in their rooms and so on and so forth. And this was a famous phrase. He says, in India, we have a saying, and that is that everything will be all right in the end. And if it's not all right, it's not yet the end. So everything will be right in the end. And that's trust, right? No matter what is happening, we can trust. We can know that let me put it this way. If what is happening is what I have intended to happen, then I can affirm that this is a result of my consciousness. If what is happening that I don't want to happen, then I can treat it as an opportunity to trust greater, right? To trust that whatever is happening is the perfect thing for my highest good. And in so doing, I let go of the attachment and I can be in peace right now. So I'm going to share, I'll give you a quote and then I'm going to share a story with you and then we'll be done. So this quote is from the Buddha, and you can do this with me. There's a physiological demonstration to this. So the Buddha said, and that actually, maybe he didn't say this because when I saw this quote in a bookstore somewhere, I looked it up, and I found out the first website I came to. It was a picture of the Buddha and said the heading was, "I didn't say that." So maybe he didn't say it, but I believe that he must have said it somewhere, sometime to one of his disciples, and that is this: when we finally realize everything is perfect just the way it is, we will simply tilt our head back and laugh at the sky. Can you feel the freedom and the power in that? So I'll tell you a story about my teacher, one of my teachers, Dr. Vivian King. I went through 4 years of training in psychosynthesis, a transpersonal psychology system. And after my training, she had moved to New Mexico. She was traveling through Texas, and I found this out. I was at a New Year's Eve party one year, and one of the students who was in my class said, "Did you hear what happened to Vivian?" And I said, "No." And she was driving through Texas. She was hit by a drunk driver and became she was in a coma for 6 weeks. She had brainstem damage that rendered her as a quadriplegic, completely paralyzed, lost the use of her limbs and her voice. So she was then, that next weekend, as it so happens, she was moved to Long Beach. I live in California, if you didn't know. And so I went to visit her that next weekend. Her head, after the accident, was swollen the size of a basketball. And so that was no longer the case, but her face was very contorted, but she still had that same Vivian smile on her face. And they were just deciding where she would be moved next. And it was either going to be Orange County or San Fernando Valley, where I lived at the time. And so I said, well, if she's moved to San Fernando Valley, then I'll be able to help her with her visitor and help her. And so the next week, they didn't know exactly where I lived. The next week, she was moved to a facility 2 blocks from where I lived. So I got to go and spend a lot of time with her, do spiritual mind treatment, energy healing, help her with her physical therapy. So it might sound like I'm doing a lot for her, but the truth was what she was doing for me. She was a saint of a woman who every one of her healthcare, everyone who visited her, her friends, her family, she was teaching us non-attachment. There were times when she had a mechanical arm that would help her to feed herself, and she'd be getting food all over her face and her apron. And you might think, oh, that would be difficult for anyone, right? But she would be smiling through all of it because she could see the cosmic joke of it. What she taught us in psychosynthesis is that I am more than my body, my feelings, and my thoughts. I am this essence, right? And her soul created an experience for her to understand that at an even deeper level. And so near the end of her life, she said these words to me. She could speak in whispers that was magnified with some kind of magnification instrument. And she said, "You know, Patrick, I'm a teacher who can no longer speak. I'm a writer who can no longer write. But as long as I am in a physical body, I can remain a presence of peace and joy and love in this world. So when I have moments of dissatisfaction, I often think of Vivian, and if she could be in joy and freedom and love in what she also had become the prison of her body, then so can I. And so can you, my friends. I'll leave you with one final statement. I think the most important thing in our teaching, any teaching, is self-love. And self-love leads to non-attachment, which leads to joy, which leads to gratitude, which leads to all the qualities of spirit. And what I realized when I was talking to a client one day about self-love is this phrasing came to me, is that when I love myself unconditionally, what I realized is that I am not myself. I am in fact the self. I am in fact pure love. And so are you, and so are we. And I love you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. The words that you spoke, especially don't be attached to being non-attached, I love. I have studied Buddhism for ages and ages and ages. And so I appreciated your message very much. And it's very uplifting. Thank you. And I think you're going to lead us, I think at noon, through some exercises. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So everyone that's listening, please join us on Zoom. Thank you. So some announcements. Our community care circle continues. Whatever you might need, a card, a call, whatever, please call. Let them know what you need and they will respond to you. 435-893-6702. Prayer requests, our practitioners would love to pray with you, for you, whatever your need might be. Please reach out to them. You can see the email address there. And again, as I mentioned, special activity on Zoom today at noon. So please stick with us and we'll see what non-attachment Reverend Patrick has for us. So we have a new book club starting, a new book, not a new club, it's a new book on February the 2nd. So let Sue Fulmer know there's more information in the newsletter and on our website. So our next in-person gathering is February the 11th. And I wanted to just send out a big thank you to Shay. If you've noticed the wonderful slideshows before our service begins, she takes those pictures every single time at a new gathering. So it's so fun to see people. So please come join us. Marina is going to start at the inclusion conversation again with Bill. She did that once before and they thought it was such a worthy discussion, decided to do it again. So that will begin on February the 28th. Singers needed. I won't be there singing, but I will be there supporting. We're going to do a harmony day, February 25th. So please see more details in the newsletter and on the website. Tithes and offerings, we are always so grateful for all that you do to support us. You can support us online with PayPal. Go to the QRS code or snail mail is still appreciated. And Zelle, I just signed up. Zelle is a really nice way to donate because there are no fees involved. Your whole donation goes right to the center, which is what I signed up to do. Very, very easy to do. So upcoming Sundays, next Sunday, celebrating life as source. And on February the 5th, curiosity is a superpower. So Joe will be here at the 1st of February, and our own practitioners, practitioners unplugged, as they like to call themselves, will present the service on the 29th. So please join us. So Marina is going to, through her alchemy magic, pull us all up so that we can close and use our last closing affirmation. And please, those of you, say it with us. There's so much power when we all say it together. So something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all that I do.
I am it, I embrace it, and I share it.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way that it is becoming.
Thank you,
Life.
life.
Woo! Thanks for
Right.
being here, everybody.
Join us on Zoom.
See y'all at Zoom.
Okay, happy Sunday.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Patrick, for being here.
My joy.